Okay, now for the percent composition computation. So percent composition tells the percent of each element present in the compound, and always percent composition of all the elements in the compound must add up to 100%. Okay, so first problem, what is the percent composition of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in sucrose? We know that sucrose or table sugar will have a chemical formula of C12H22O11. So first step, compute for the molecular weight. So carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Use the subscript to know the atoms per element. So carbon will have 12, hydrogen will have 22, oxygen will have 11. Then use the periodic table. Look for the atomic weight of carbon, that's still 12. Hydrogen will have 1 and oxygen will have 16 grams per mole based on the periodic table. After that, multiply the number of atoms to the individual atomic weight. So 12 times 12 for carbon is 144. Hydrogen is 22 and oxygen is 176. After getting the product for each atomic weight and the number of atoms, you add all of this. Then you're going to have the sum 342, and that is the molecular weight of atom. After getting the molecular weight of sucrose, after getting the molecular weight of the substance, we can then compute for the percent composition. So percent of carbon is, just look for the individual product. Okay, so for carbon, ang contribution niya sa sucrose ay 144. So that is 144. Divide this by the total 342 times 100%. So that is 42.11%. Okay? Pagdating naman kay hydrogen, ang contribution lang niya ay 22. So 22, divide this by the total, the molecular weight, 342 times 100%, 6.43. And then the last, the oxygen, ang contribution niya ay 176. So that's 176. Divide this by the total, 342. Again, multiply to 100%, equals to 51.46. Okay? So, contribution per element ay ito. And of course, to double check if our answers are correct, these three, or all of the percentages should come up with or should sum up to 100%. Okay? So, makikita natin here that even for a fact that hydrogen ang pinakamadaming atoms, even for a fact that hydrogen has the most number of atoms, but since its atomic weight is just 1, 6% lang ang contribution niya dun sa sucrose. Okay? And even for a fact that there's only 11 oxygen atom, but because it's heavy, it has a 16 atomic weight, half or more than half the percentages, so 51.46% ay ang contribution niya sa sucrose. So, the subscript is not the indicator kung ano yung pinakamadami in terms of percentages. So, may factor din yung individual atomic weights nila. So, dalawang factor yun. Yung bilang ng atoms at yung atomic weight niya. Okay? So, kailangan i-multiply yan para malalaman kung alin ang mataas ang percentage. Okay? Another example, what's the percent composition of elements in aluminum sulfate? So the elements in aluminum sulfate are aluminum, sulfur, oxygen, and hydrogen. So with the use of subscript and coefficient, we know that there are 2 aluminums. Sulfur is 3 because of the inside and outside subscript. Oxygen is 18. Okay, 18 kasi 12 dito, inside times outside. And then the coefficient times the subscript. So that is 18. And then for hydrogen, 6 times 2, it's 12. For the total of 450. Okay, so aluminum has a contribution of 54. So divide this by 450. That's 12%. And then sa sulfur naman, 96 ang kanyang contribution. Divide this by the total or the molecular weight and multiply to 100%. So that's 21.33. Then sa oxygen, ang contribution niya ay 288. So divide again by the molecular weight, multiply to 100%, and that's 64%. And then for hydrogen, contribution is only 12. Divide this by the molecular weight, and then times 100%, and that's 2.67. All in all these percentage should come up with 100%. Again, the majority or the bulk of aluminum sulfate hexahydrate, so 64% ay accounted to oxygen. And ang smallest 2.67 ay si hydrogen. 12 for aluminum and 21.33 kay sulfur.